All right, Trails Collective crew. Thanks to all that are tuning in this evening. Joining us this evening, got the opportunity to connect with Gabe Matyiko. Pretty excited. I think, I don't know if I connected with you in person, Cayuga, a few years ago. I think it was just me trying to tune into more what's going on out there. And I think Trent saying, dude, you should get Gabe on there. So for those of you tuning in, Gabe is a trail ultra runner out of Maryland, particularly the Delmarva crew. And he is a director of the Duck, and we can get into that a little bit. So Gabe, good to have you on. And yeah, we were just chatting there, and we'll get into it a little bit here. But you are fresh off of Belmonte, and let's just start there. So tell us a little bit about Belmonte and how your weekend went and how you're feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Ian.
Yeah, man.
Eastern Shore isn't a part of the ultra running world that gets a whole lot of light shine on it. So anytime we get any FaceTime, it's great. Yeah, Belmonte, it's a 50-mile race that's put on by Bad to the Bone Sports, which is Gil and Francesca are the two, the couple that really run those races. And I've ran once before in 2015, I think. And it's beautiful. It's in the Shenandoah Mountains, and it's challenging. It's got about, I think, 8,000 or 9,000 feet of gain, but it's all concentrated into like 4 or 5 climbs. So you get these 4 or 5 mile long climbs and then downhills that really beat you up. So the race is a lot harder in person than it reads on paper, but a lot of fun, beautiful weather, had a great time, and we're able to run with some friends from here and other places too.
And the races seem pretty fair. I mean, they have pretty stout or decent elevation metrics, and no doubt you get some of the Virginia technicality thrown in there, but they also seem pretty fair. I mean, they're not really extreme in elevation, and it's not all technical stuff. So it seems, again, like a pretty kind of fair.
Yeah, it's a good. Yeah, at least Belmonte, it's a good mix. You get a little bit of little like gravel road running. You get a little bit of sort of flat rolling trails. But the climbs, they are some of them are like Jeep trails. So the rocks are kind of loose from the Jeeps and stuff, and then some of them are that typical East Coast rock garden stuff that is probably similar to the Massanutten and some of the Massanutten races and things like that. But all in all, yeah, 14-hour cutoff. And if the weather's good, because in March in Virginia the weather's not always great. I ran it in 20-degree weather. So you gotta know the tricks of keeping your tubes and your hydration packs from freezing and all that stuff. But yeah, good race.
That played out. So this was your second Belmonte, right? You've run it once before, yeah. And I was looking at that, and that was what? It was like that was 2017 as well.
17 or 15. I think it was 15. A friend of mine, Jordan Gilsdorf, it was his first race. He wanted to pick a 50 mile. I said, well, don't pick on some powder puff race. I want to pick a decent race because and I'll go do it with you. And but yeah, it was I actually beat my time in my place in that race back then in 15. But I would run it again. It's good. It's really nice.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed. Your time was like, I forget what it was. It was like 15 minutes or a half hour better than the first time you ran it years ago. And just looking at your ultrasonic, and maybe that just speaks to what you mentioned in terms of the weather, but it may also speak to you just getting kind of fitter on the trails, right? I mean, kind of your first result was in 2014, and it was decent, but it seems like you're kind of getting better as you're getting older here.
Yeah, I feel like that. I'm not going to say it, but you said it, so I'll go with it. I enjoy the longer races a little more. 100K, 100 miler. Only because I found as I get older, that trail savvy and that IQ that you get from experience comes more into play. So you really benefit from that experience, and you know what your body needs. You can nip stuff in the butt with either hydration or fuel, slowing down and not charging out hard, walking, taking it easy on the uphills, running the flats and the downs. And yeah, I feel like for me, that's allowed me to be, more competitive, faster, whatever you want to call it. And so it is kind of fun, when you start running these races, next thing you know, you realize, oh, I might be in the top 10 or 20 or whatever it is, So that's not supposed to happen when you're from the Eastern Shore and you're 40 years old,
Yeah, well, but it's working. So are you feeling pretty strong? And so you've got, and on your ultrasonic calendar, you've got UROC also on deck. So hopefully you mentioned to me right before we got on that you haven't been training that much, but your fitness seems at least decent for long.
Well, I mean, I go in spurts. It depends on my motivation, what's in front of me. I think everybody might be like that, but I mean, for me, that's the way it is. I actually have I qualified to run UTMB in 2020, and of course, COVID, had other plans. And so what they did was they did a really good job. They let you push your bid to the next 3 years. So you can either run in 2021, 22, or 23. And so I was prepared, gung ho, to put a huge race schedule together for this year, in anticipation for getting ready for UTMB. And so Belmonte and UROC, they're close to home. They got elevation. They're challenging. That was why this popped up. But once I realized that this COVID thing wasn't going to be sorted out in Europe, and it wasn't going to be the UTMB experience that we all see on the live feed when we watch it with everybody lining the streets and all that stuff. So I kind of backed off of that, and I didn't sign up for a whole bunch of races this year. I mean, as we all know, this sport's tough on, time and struggles with family life and work and everything else. So, putting 6 races in to practice and lead up to a UTMB bid in August wasn't in the cards for this year. So I pulled it back, but I think 2022, I'm really I'm going to give it a shot and pack it up and really start training hard. So
what's the talk now? I mean, they're planning on this year, but what are the modifications? Is it just no spectators type of thing, or are they staggering or limited numbers, or who knows?
I'll be honest, Ian, I don't really know. I haven't heard a whole lot of detail from that standpoint. I just know that that they're actually they were still planning on having it this year, because I had some friends that got emails saying no one's running in 2021. Like, if you qualified, they were trying to incentivize people to run this year, because they just felt like it. Everybody was just sort of pushing it off, and I've not really heard any news, because I've already made up my mind I'm not going to do it. But I know that places like Italy are having another round of lockdowns, and that the virus kind of coming back around, and UTMB runs through France, Italy, and Switzerland. So I can only imagine that's going to affect what goes on. Last year, they actually were telling their runners and their entrants that they were still on up until May 20th. So they kind of really held everybody kind of in limbo, because they really wanted to put the race on. And it just, so I mean, that's kind of late in the game when you think about it. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, especially for a race where you get people coming in from all over.
Everywhere.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. I wonder what I don't know, maybe I guess that area is on my own personal bucket list. I had I think it was a 6 or 7 day run circuit, a hut-to-hut run circuit planned for I think summer of 2018 or something like that, 2017. And I decided to run for Congress instead, and so that derailed it, and I couldn't go to.
I remember that.
So I couldn't go abroad, and I was bummed, because it's totally a bucket list trip. But for me, it's like I would love to be up there and running there, but like but UTMB proper. So I guess to put it in perspective, a friend, Jenny Jurek now, went over and ran it years ago, and in her race report, or in, I don't know, maybe a social media post afterward or something like that, I think the takeaway quotes from her that stuck with me was, I think she had never seen in her entire life more cigarettes and penises than at UTMB. And when you just think about the amount of people that run out there in the conga line, and that's crazy. So, I mean, I guess I could see people being really excited about that amount of event, and it's just that crazy excitement that's around it. But for me, I don't know. I guess I'm more intrigued about getting up there and not the masses, I guess.
Well, I had not thought of penises and cigarette butts. Honestly, I didn't figure into my calculus.
Well, they're coming at you, buddy. In 20.
I don't know what to do. No, man, this is not what I was thinking the takeaway was going to be tonight.
No, that's what you're signed up for, buddy. You should have thought of that ahead of time, but that's fine if that's what you're into. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, everybody talked about the sausage and the cheese that you eat, along the route, but anyway.
Yeah.
There's a double meaning there. No, but no, I just, I've had lots of friends that have tried to get into Western States, and I've had a lot of friends, Larry Watson and a few others that have tried to get into Hard Rock. Debbie Livingston, who um,
Hmm.
I know she tried for a very long time to get in Hard Rock, and then actually did get in and had an amazing experience. But those races are just so unattainable anymore. It seems
Yeah.
like for the average person to try to shoot for, and UTMB just seemed like one of those things that was
Sure.
still possible. Still hard. I mean, you still have to, amass a lot of points, run qualifying races. But I love to travel too, and so the thought of bringing my family out there and experiencing, the event, regardless of all the things that go along with it. I mean, some people just don't like big events and crowds, and there's going to be stuff that goes along with that, whether it's a concert or
Uh-huh.
a rally in DC or anything. You go to Vancouver, you see homeless people on the side of the road shooting up. I mean, it all goes with the package, but. I'm still excited about it. I'm still excited to
Yeah.
do it. I hope they can get, they can get it pulled together and make it happen. And who knows, maybe 2023 is what I run. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it is always fun to see to see it shake out. And I guess one of the amazing things is just how engaged, this was something else I was going to say, just how engaged the towns and populace is over there with mountain running and trail running. And I mean, it's so phenomenal. And so I guess my thought was, yeah, I wonder how, with some of the kickback that some of the events are getting here for good reason in terms of whether they're running or not with COVID, I wonder whether, I guess, what the general feel will be over there. And it seems like it's such a even a huger part of their culture over there. And I wonder whether they'll get just as many people that are like, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be running events, or whether it's like, I don't know, man, this is what we do.
Yeah, I would like to think it's the latter. I know that us on the Eastern Shore, our partner in crime here, Trent Swanson, we've experienced a lot of that sort of sentiment here. Is people are ready to do. They're kind of, it's not that you can't go out there and say let's not be careful, let's not be safe, let's not recognize that there's something out there going on that we need to be prepared for. But at the same time, you know, uh, you got to at least give it a shot and not just stay home and lock yourself away. And we've been lucky. I mean, Maryland's not necessarily known as a real conservative state, but on the Eastern Shore, we've had 4 or 5 events since last March. Um, some of them with as many as 250 people, and they've all been great. We've not had that I know of. We've not had one person that has come away from an event that said that they picked up corona or transacted the disease, the whatever it is, during an event. So I mean, it's possible to do,
Mm-hmm.
and to do it with relatively low risk of infection. And so, I mean, like I said, Belmonte ran. We're seeing more go on. I hope that with the vaccinations, this kind of keeps moving because I know it needs to happen.
And it's good to see you. Some of the, I guess, hesitancies that some people have in getting into ultra. I mean, you see the people posing questions on a regular basis of, I'm looking to do my first, whatever it is, 50K, and I'm looking for one that's like good for beginners. And I think there's this concept or this theory that, or that this almost misconception, I guess, that people hold in their minds that events with maybe like a lot of elevation gain or some technicality are no more or less good for beginners. And where I'm going with this is, for you in Delmarva on the Eastern Shore, you're not exactly right out your back door, I would imagine, flanked by a ton of elevation gain opportunities. So yeah, I mean, maybe you've got some bridges and you've got some sand dunes there, but the elevation metrics of like UTMB, I mean, that's still pretty awesome. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do UTMB and from the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Yeah, yeah, we don't have it. There's no way to cut it. We don't have it. It was funny. Not to bring her up again, but when I was my wife's from Connecticut, and so I went to Providence College in Rhode Island, and so I spent a lot of 5, 6, 6 years, 7 years of my life in New England. I have a lot of friends up there, and the reason I ran into Debbie Livingston and that Schnipsit Strider Club is I was up there for Thanksgiving, and I was looking to run and get some miles. And so I just posted on some Connecticut Facebook trail running crew website, I'm looking to get 20, 30 miles in on a Saturday after Thanksgiving. Does anybody know of a great area to run or this or that? And they shot back this message, our running club does this 50-mile run every year on Saturday at Thanksgiving, on the Schnipsit Trail. And it was this organized thing. And I just went out of there cold turkey. They were a really great, super awesome group. And ever since then, I've stayed connected with them. And I've ran a couple of those runs when I go up to have these gatherings. And I was talking to Debbie, and she's a real hard, she's done a lot of races. She's an amazing athlete. And she was telling me that one of the ways she gets ready is that, she had a friend who had an oxygen deprivation tent that they put over their bed, and her and her husband, sleep in this thing to get acclimated. And I'm laughing, and she goes, yeah, it's not so bad, except when somebody goes away for a business trip and you've slowly been ratcheting the amount of oxygen down, and then they come back and they go to sleep with you and they're like gasping for breath because they didn't get to go through that week of acclimation with you, So anything's possible, but I live in a small town. We have a bridge that goes over the river here, and the underside of the bridge is like that, and I'll run up and down that, and I get about 30 feet of elevation for about an hour and a half, just back and forth, and it just it gets the quads and all those muscles that you use, your hip flexors, all sort of ratcheted up for that downhill, that uphill running. And then that's all you can do, and just be as smart as you can and strategic as you can when you go out there and tackle that vertical. But other than that, you just, you go out there with a chip on your shoulder and do your thing. So,
and by your occupation by day, a moving company, do you work for? Is that
sort of?
Your?
Yeah, my dad and I own a house moving company. We actually move and raise buildings. It's called Expert House Movers. So, I don't know if you lighthouses. People love lighthouses. We've relocated 6 masonry lighthouses on the East Coast. So if you've ever been to Nantucket or Block Island or Cape Hatteras, we've relocated Cape Hatteras Light, Southeast Light and Block Island, Gay Head and Martha's Vineyard. So we do a lot of work. Yeah, it's different.
That's pretty niche occupation there.
Yeah, it is. So
I guess my thought was when I was first thinking of moving company, I was like, day to day though, you must be getting some decent physical exercise and kind of lifting and be just generally kind of physically fit, but maybe not in that way.
Well, no, yeah, it's everything we do is heavy. So yeah, everything we pick up, all day long, it's hammers, shovels, steel, wood. It's a very labor intensive job. So I'm not out there as much as I used to be. I'm doing a lot of emails and sitting in the truck a lot and traveling, but yeah, it's a labor intensive job, so it does help for sure.
Yeah, that does make a difference, especially this past year for a lot of. Well, I don't know, take that back. I guess a lot of people had more potentially flexibility and they were still getting out, but it seems like a lot of us are still sitting more
doing the remote thing. Yeah, I don't know how many of my friends are on their computers for. It's tough. So
yeah, so that wouldn't necessarily be helpful for UTMB.
No, but no, like I said, I'm just looking forward to getting a year full of races.
Yeah, anything else that you're planning on for this year except for UTMB? Or not UTMB, for UROC rather?
I don't know. I'm fishing. I'm looking for something in the fall. I'd love to take some sort of fun trip up. The White Mountains holds a special place in my heart. I lived up in New Hampshire for a while, and I've hiked every inch of those mountains, but I've never ran the Penny Loop and the Presidential Traverse. And so I'm trying to get a weekend together at some point where we do both in one weekend. I'd love to do that. And my sister lives out in Oregon, in Portland, and I went out there to try and run the old Cascadia a couple years ago, which is put on by Janessa Carper. She's really great, and I ended up having to get meniscus surgery. So that year, 2019, was nilch for me. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, nothing this year yet, other than UROC. But I'm looking for something in the fall. So
I was just texting with a friend, Ryan Welts, yesterday or the day before, just asking specifically about the PEMI because I haven't done PEMI or Prezi up there and really spent much time. I think I've signed up for a couple Toms and 603s races. I shifted Virgil Crest a week earlier. In case you want to do that one, in case any of your crew wants to come up to September.
I have a friend doing that actually. I was looking at it. Maria Miller, she's running it.
Oh, cool. Well, maybe you need to add that to your docket as well. But
Is that your race?
What's that?
Is that your race?
It is one of mine. Yeah, it's one that I put on for years, and then I just needed to step away for a bit and just take a break. It's just, but I don't know. Maybe COVID,
it's a lot.
Maybe it is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
The 100 miles.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. But Ryan, I had just I think I saw Kim Levinsky's profile photo and clicked on it, and I think that was up maybe on the PEMI, I believe. And that got me thinking about it. And I was thinking the most ideal time to get up there. So I was texting Ryan, and Ryan said his favorite time to do it is September. So what I'm thinking at the moment is whether I could do, and this is an invite in case it sounds appealing, to do the Kismet Cliff Race on Saturday, and then maybe the PEMI loop on Sunday. So in case there's any interest, maybe we can touch base on that. And
yeah, that would be great. I mean, that place is amazing, and it's that whole classic, New Hampshire granite rock running. Like it's good. It's fun. I've ran sections of it, but yeah, no, that would be a blast, and September would be amazing. I've hiked up there in October, late October. When you get October, November, you're pushing the opportunity, the chance for some serious weather to blow through.
Yeah,
that place is no joke. As you probably know, it's known for
not where you want to be exposed, and not in any way, shape, or form ignorant to the mountains.
Being self-sufficient, exactly. So, but yeah, that sounds great. We've been talking about it forever amongst our crew, and it's just never materialized. But for sure, that's a great time of year. So,
all right, well, maybe I can jab more in that direction in case people want to go up there and do it. And I think if it's that double there, I think there's still room in Kismet Cliff. I think it's open. That was an event that's been on my bucket list too, just because it looks really beautiful. So nice
Sasquatch beanie back there. I spot.
That's
on
right.
The wall.
Yeah. Kim was it's cozy. It makes me want to just take her idea of the palm on the top beanies.
People have been doing away with the palm lately. You can bring it back.
Yeah, I'm keeping it on there. It's cozy, as well as the Smiths in your backyard or in your background there. The meat is murder.
So that's a. Oh, do you know Jason Green?
I'm not sure.
Jason Green does the Yeti.
Oh, yes. I don't know him. Now that you mentioned, now I see Yetis. I do know who he is, but I don't know him.
So yeah, he's pretty awesome. I mean, we ran the Yeti 100. My buddy Trent Swanson, he wanted to do 100. Trent, his first 100. I said, yeah, let's go do it. And he gave out these albums that he had custom made. I mean, it's killer. So, Roads of Murder.
Is it his music that's in there, or is it the Smiths and he just kind of rebranded it?
That was a question for him. But this says Lee Cash, the history of country music. So I don't know how that.
Maybe it's just a bunch of
random. We're all over the place here. I don't know what's going on.
That's good. Yeah. He's got a pretty good kind of cult, classic, community, fun, like you guys do as well, and like Kim does or whatever. You all do a great job of that stuff.
Well, when you don't have the amazing terrain and the amazing geography to put on these killer races, you have to have something else, and that's, I mean, for us, the community is what really makes it. And we have a lot of amazing people that enjoy ultra running and enjoy trail running, and so anytime we have an event, I look forward to the events as much as the actual event itself, but just being able to hang out and have a good time with our crew, and have an excuse to do that. And when, of course, anytime everybody has something to rally around, it makes it that much more fun. So yeah, I can definitely identify that for sure.
Cool. Well, so all those tuning in, thanks again for tuning in. If you've got a question, got a comment, post it up there. I'll send it through. If Gabe catches his eye, he can answer. If there's questions specifically, I'll leave them up. So Jason, I'm assuming Jason is maybe an acquaintance from California, and any races in California? Well, as a question.
He is Trent Swanson's brother, Big J.
Uh-huh.
And they actually were putting on a Algonquin, California version called Calgonquin,
I had wondered
and
what the
that
connection there
that was
was.
supposed to happen in April, and California just put the axe to that race, unfortunately.
Uh-huh. Um, well, maybe you need to cross the border and put it on in Nevada. I mean,
Something,
uh,
yeah. I mean, everything's a game in Nevada, right? I mean,
mhm. Huh. All right, but I was wondering the
but
connection there on the
that's the
California.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually
Uh,
ran rim to rim to rim with Big J and Trent and a mutual friend of theirs back in, I don't know, a couple of years ago. So
cool.
yeah, I got some history with Mr. Swanson there.
Nice. All right, so let's see. I'm going to, and um, so I think I came up with 10 or 11, or maybe we even kind of got into a couple of them already, but some very legit questions that you may or may not have answers for. But let's just get into them, and we'll see if it takes us anywhere else in terms of discussion here. All right, so
Sure, sounds good.
all right, so let me look over. I actually already mentioned a couple. All right, so based on a photo of you with a rifle that I found in stalking your Facebook profile, is it more fun to direct the duck or shoot ducks?
I would say direct the duck because in a way you're doing both.
It's fair. It's a fair answer, especially
So
this year when you're just looking to take
especially
people
this
out,
year.
basically. Uh-huh.
That's
All right.
correct. Yeah. Yeah. I actually I would say I'm a better shot as a race director at ducks than I am if I was to shoot at ducks with a gun. I don't think I could hit 50 out of 50 if I
Mhm.
was shooting with a gun. So
All right. So then on the related, are both the first and the second rules of duck similar to the Fight Club where you can't talk about the duck?
I'm okay with talking about duck. So I would say no, they're not the same, but we don't give anybody any information, so they can talk all they want. But until the day or the night of the duck, there's nothing to be had. So we keep it pretty tight-lipped.
Yeah. All right.
I'm surprised we haven't had a slip up thus far, but so far we've been able to keep it under wraps. So
All right. So for those then maybe who are tuning in that are not already familiar with the duck, tell us about the duck.
the duck. Okay, I'll keep it as concise as possible. So my local running club, the Pemberton Running Club or Algonquin Ultras, whatever you want to call it, we are based on the Eastern Shore. We don't have a lot of geographic diversity. It's really flat. And so our first race we ever put on in the ultra distance was the Algonquin 50K. And after running that for 2 years, it got real popular, but we wanted to try, and we realized, where we kind of fall short. And we wanted to try to attract some higher caliber runners from other places. And to do that, we want to come up with a different distance. So we did, let's come up with a 100K option. But instead of just doubling the race course or doing something like that, that's not really being creative or that much fun to run, we needed to come up with something a little different. So we're always kicking around different ideas for races, and one of the things we came up with was, what if we made a 50K race that a very small, vetted number of runners would run the night before the, sort of large staple, the Algonquin 50K, that, the showcase run that would be on Saturday morning, and not tell anybody where it was or anything about it until they got the packet pickup on Friday night. And by doing that, it just adds a little extra difficulty, and it changes your game plan a little bit. And so we took the idea and ran with it. And the first year we had it on a place called Naylor Mill, which is about a 4.5 mile, very, very challenging, twisty trail section, which the map is right there, actually. And it ended up being like an 11-mile out and back that we repeated 2.5 times. And it was super cold and windy and crazy. And we shuttled everybody out there in buses at 9 o'clock, and 10 we started at the 8-hour cutoff, and it absolutely murdered people. We didn't even realize that we're thinking it's flat. How hard can it be? And it's an 8-hour cutoff for a 50K. What's the big deal? And the big deal is that it's nighttime. it's hard to see. It's hard to. Some people just don't run well at night, and I think a lot of folks, they had the 50-mile finish, they had the 100K finish, but a lot of people didn't have the night experience, and so we had a lot of people that got blindsided by that. And then the fact that you have this break in between the two races, so you have a 50K race, and then you sit or do whatever you do, and then a couple hours later at 7 a.m. you start the second 50K. And some people have told us that that layoff, you get warm, you get comfortable, you put on your warm clothes and you get dry, and then you have to go back out there. That's worse than if you just ran it straight through.
Yeah.
So this race, we don't tell anybody, where it is, the first 50K, but we also change it every year. So no matter what you do, you're not going to know anything about this race coming into it. And so it's challenging for us because we have to come up with a new course every year that nobody knows about, including a lot of our local runners who watch our Strava, who ask us what we're doing every weekend for runs. And so you have to figure out a way to cultivate a trail race that no one has ever done before and make it fun and interesting, and keep it locked down. And so this was the third year we've been able to make Duck happen. And the snow and the wind, it was 6 inches of snow the night before, and it was in the 30s. It put a hurting on people. And so we don't go out of our way to make this a difficult race, but for whatever reason, it just every year seems to push all the right buttons.
And so when people show up for packet pickup, I mean, your course or your event can be someplace else. Like you can drive to the start or drive to. It's not like right there.
Right. So in a non-COVID year, we would have everybody drive to the start and finish of the 50K the following day. So they drive there. We meet them there around 8:30, 9 o'clock with shuttles, vans. And then we say, okay, lock your car, grab whatever you think you might need, hop in the bus. We don't tell them, if they need a drop bag, we tell them they need a drop bag. If they need anything, we tell them at that moment. But they don't get any information whatsoever. They don't know if it's going to be on the beach. They don't know if it's going to be, all they know is there's probably not going to be elevation because it's on the eastern shore. And they also know it's probably within an hour to an hour and a half radius of where the start of the race the following day is. But other than that, that's all they know. And so we just drive them away, and they show up. Once they show up, that's when we give them the information they need to know. Here's the course. This is how it's marked. This is what it is. This is your time. We don't even tell them what the cutoff is until they get there.
That's good. That's good stuff.
And some people, they need to know. People are planners. They have to know, study. They need to pour over everything. They need to, none of that. This is a no nonsense. It's not for those people. And we've had those people come out and we've had meltdowns, So.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic.
It's good. It's fun for us. It's fun for them. And we've had people actually come back 3 times in a row and do it. So, there's something going on. We've had a bunch of people come back and do it twice in a row. We've had folks come back and volunteer year to year. So, thus far, it's been a thing that it's also fun for the other Algonquin runners to witness, because the people that run the Duck, they get special bibs. They're different colors. And so the next day when they're running, all the other runners that are out there on the 50K course, they can look and say, that guy's been up all night. That's why he looks like complete shit, or whatever, And so that's also fun too, because they're really in another race all to themselves. No one's expecting them to come in top 5 or 10 of that 50K the following morning, because they're just so beat up. And the folks that have run a Duck, it's funny because, they're known as ducks. So even though the acronym has nothing to do with the actual animal, it's become a status in the sort of Algonquin running community that if you're a Duck, you're badass. So that makes me feel good.
And you feel like the word is getting out some? Like you have some people that are like, that's a cool concept. We're coming in from some removed state and we don't even know who this person is.
Well, I'm not gonna say yes. So much so because it's not a big race. We take 30 runners. That's it. And but we've got this one girl, Katya Petrovich. I think she's from Colorado, and she's run this twice now. So she came out last year because she was doing this challenge where she had to run an ultra like in every state or something.
Uh-huh.
And she gave herself a year to do it, and then she needed to extend that because of COVID to 2 years. And so for whatever reason, this ticked the box that she needed for the time slot she had. And then she
Okay.
saw the 100K option and said, well, why not? And then this year she came back again, which it was great to see her. And we've had people come from Ohio. Kim
Yeah.
Levitsky came from New Jersey. We have a huge New Jersey contingent that run our races. So I mean, it might be getting there, but you know what? As long as people are coming and having a good time, that makes me
Yeah.
happy. I don't need it.
Yep.
We
Totally.
don't need the status. I mean, it's the Eastern Shore. We're going to be real about what we have to offer. So.
Uh-huh. All right, cool. All right. So as I'd mentioned in I think, thread earlier, one of the things that caught my eye first in looking at the photos of Duck was how damned level and wrinkle-free you and your volunteers got that start-finish banner. So now tell me, did that happen on the first try? And what were you thinking going into the night before that weather coming in?
Yes, you did mention that right off the bat. That's something I think only a race director would appreciate. I've got a core crew of guys that every year, I don't know what it is, but they love trail work. They love going out there at 5 in the morning with headlamps and leaf blowers and machetes and spending, a day every weekend for 4 weekends in a row, doing trail work. And Matt Bergman, Roy Riggin, of course, Trent comes out, and we have a few others. Joey DiCarlo helps a little bit, but these guys have been awesome. And every year we have Duck, they show up and they put in the time. And then, of course, when it comes to the night of, they want to see what's going on. And so I can tell you there was ladders, there was lots of elastic bungees, and yeah, there were some close calls. But yeah, we got it. I would say second try. We did one side and we had to adjust the other side. But yeah, that was you're right. That was no short of a miracle there. So.
Well done. That is a professional job there, and I can see why you successfully moved lighthouses. So,
I should be able to hang a banner. Yeah.
You should be able to hang a banner
should
straight.
Be able to hang a banner. Yeah.
All right. So word has it that trail running in the United States originated on the Delmarva Peninsula. Can you tell me a bit about that history, or in this moment, make up something that sounds reasonable to support that statement?
Well, risking being a little on PC, the Underground Railroad main artery was up the Eastern Shore. So
Okay.
I can imagine that those folks didn't want to get caught. So there was probably a lot of hustle and running going on back in the back in the 1800s, or not 1700s, 1800s, right up to the Eastern Shore. Harriet Tubman, is from Cambridge, and Frederick Douglass is from Cambridge, and all these little fingers and lakes and marshes and stuff that we've got here. That's where they snuggled those boats up in, and then they hustled their butts north, and they had about it's probably I don't know, maybe 100-mile jaunt to the line up there. At Delaware and Pennsylvania. So, who knows? That could have been one of the first main 100-mile trail routes in the country.
Uh-huh.
So I'd be interested to know what that FKT was back then,
Yeah, that's well done on that one. That very well could be. I mean, maybe you could find some history there.
It could be all night running too. Who knows?
Uh-huh. That could have been a duck right there.
That could have been the underground duck. Yeah, who knows?
Huh. All right. That's actually something that's intriguing, and that makes me want to look into it further. So well done there. All right. I think personally that running in the sand is kind of miserable, and may explain why it took a while to spread this trail running, that is, beyond the peninsula, as everyone just assumed it was hard and awful and kind of sucked. Do you think that trail running should have started somewhere else other than the Delmarva Peninsula because of all of that damned sand?
Yeah, I just don't think that we're smart enough here to know any different. Because back in the day, the Delmarva Peninsula is like its own little world. We have tried to secede from Maryland many times. And so yeah, I think that's kind of the deal there, is that we just didn't know any better. The Trent Swanson says there's no place west of west of Delmarva. This is where it's at. So yeah, I mean, running on sand is not bad if you stay down close to the water. It's kind of hard. Do it in the wintertime. Otherwise, yeah, I'm with you. It sucks. It's the worst.
And that is pretty. I think I don't know if I've spent any time in Delmarva, and obviously, need to get down there and join your crew for something at some point here. But I think I've only just kind of flying over, looked down, and just looked at the geography and all the water and like the
Chicken
islands or
houses.
peninsulas. Man, it's nuts.
Chicken houses. Lots of chicken houses.
Lots of chicken
Yep.
houses.
Lots of chicken houses. Lots of flat land. Yeah, there's, we've got Ocean City. People come to Ocean City. It's a big time. But yeah, no, 13 runs north to south, Route 13. So a lot of people heading down to the Outer Banks or to Virginia Beach, they cut through Delmarva.
So I must have gone through. Maybe I just haven't stopped because I've been to all those places, but just not out in, I think, where you guys are running these events or races or whatever. But but footing, like on that note, though, I mean, so got a lot of trails, but it's to be expected. It's just a lot of sand under there. Is that?
Well, actually, we don't have a lot of trails. I mean, we make the most out of what we have, but that's one thing that we're always looking for more. And that actually is sort of like the secondary mission statement of Algonquin Ultras, the not-for-profit that we put on these races. We are trying to promote, the use of trails, but also the access to trails and the creation of trails on the Eastern Shore. Our only focus isn't just going out there and putting on events. And in fact, where we ran first year's duck, it's called the Naylor Mill Trail or Woods. A large portion of that was going to be taken and turned into softball fields. It was a land grab that the county, Wycomico County, was trying to sneak in under the radar from the citizens from the city of Salisbury. And it was this thing where it was like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And they just tried to do it in this closed session so that nobody kind of really knew about it, just to make it happen, because they were getting all this money from the U.S. Women's Softball World Series or something. So, if you can give us these facilities, then we'll come to you. We'll come to your city or your town for 3 years and sign a contract for whatever. And they were just kind of clear cut like a third of these trails, which had been in existence since I was in high school. And we caught word about it and started a movement with some of the local conservation groups. And we also teamed up with some of the students at SU University and basically showed up in mass at a couple of these county council meetings and got a whole lot of press from the Daily Times and online, and basically, put a kibosh to it real quick. And so we were successful in preventing that from happening. And then in turn, we pushed, and the city actually ended up having it turn into they used some sort of conservation easement to permanently protect that section of woods. And so that was a really cool thing to be a part of. And so, things like that, we also try to get involved with. But we run a lot on the beach. We've got a stretch. We got an island here called Assateague.
Yep, I've seen a couple of the. That's where it keeps getting FKTs, right?
Correct. Yeah. So Richard and I ran it here recently, Weishner, and and we repeated a run that Trent Swanson and I did in 2015. Nobody else had ran that we knew of, top to bottom. And so we did it first, and then Richard and I ran it just this past year. And then another friend of mine, Sherman Nate Hanley, he ran it probably 3 weeks after Richard and I did, and beat our time by 20 or 30 minutes or whatever. And so now Nate is the quote unquote king of the beach. And it's fun. It's a cool route. It involves a little coordination to do it, because you have to actually kayak across the inlet at the
Which
top.
I think is awesome to start the FKT. I always get a kick out of that.
Yeah, you can get a boat ride, but however you do it, it's up to you. And then you actually have to cross the state line, and there's a good 20-mile gap of nothing. And so, if you want support, you've got to have somebody who's got a ORV sticker and can ride down the beach. And so it's just a lot of fun. But it's a definite experience running it in the winter versus the summer. And so, and then that's not the only beach. There's beaches up in Delaware on the Delaware River. the Broad Kill Beach and the Prime Hook Wildlife Refuge, which is up there. And then Nate actually, and a friend of mine, Matt B, who I mentioned before, who helps out with the duck, when COVID was raging and they shut everything down, which I thought was silly. You couldn't go to the beach, you couldn't go to a park, you couldn't walk outside. It was weird. We actually went up to this Prime Hook Wildlife Refuge and ran on the beach just because nobody ever goes there because there's hardly any houses there and they didn't care about it at the time. And we did a self-supported 50K run on the beach there back in like April or March of 2020. So I mean, we make the most of what we have, but it is what it is. It's mostly mud and pine forest trails, much like they have in southern Jersey and the beach.
And Assateague is about 30 miles?
Well, if you start at the very top, all the way up where Ocean City Inlet is, and you go all the way down to the bottom so you can see Wallops Island. So you're now in Virginia. It's like 38 and a piece miles, 38.6.
So there's your duck one year is getting a raft. They all have to paddle with their arms, a whitewater raft across the to the peninsula or the island. And
there's a story there, Ian, which I don't know if I should get into. But that was there was a full-fledged duck attempt that involved the Aztec Island that was foiled at the last minute due to improper. How do I say? We didn't have all of our ducks in a row from a permission standpoint, and we got called out last minute. So.
That's that softball lobby that you just pissed off and not letting them get that softball land. They're coming back at you, and the softball players, they're no joke. And when they get pissed, they get pissed.
They got bats. I don't know what it was, but we got shut down pretty quick. So that year we had to pivot. We had 2 weeks to find a new venue. Mm-hmm. So think how hard it is to come up with a 50K trail run that nobody knows about, and then in 2 weeks' time completely have it scrapped and have to start fresh.
And so the entrants that year didn't know that was the.
They had no clue that we completely had a whole nother race set up. We had the volunteers squared away and everything. We had the boats ready for transport. We had everything. And in 2 weeks' time, it got nixed. So, yeah.
Well done. Way to go after it.
Yeah.
All right.
Now do what you got to do.
So based on your tendency to both dress up as Captain America, as well as have signature chops more akin to the Wolverine, do you think that Captain America or Wolverine would arrive at the finish of the duck first?
Captain America all day long.
Which is why I guess that's what you lean toward.
Captain, all day long.
Especially wearing such tight shorts on the bottom that it just restricts blood flow and makes you run faster.
Wonders of spandex. I don't know what to tell you.
And then, so on that, then Trent's daughter, as I think I caught someone.
Layla, we love Layla.
Once asked him why you wear swimming suits to race. Do you think they're faster, especially when they appear overly patriotic?
I would just yes. I'm just gonna say yeah. Yes, they're definitely faster. And they you got to worry about function. Less is more sometimes. Less is more.
Yeah. Running in college and some of our postseason cross country races, when we were getting into the winter ahead of nationals, I started wearing women's bathing suits underneath my singlet, just because it was an awesome layer with some warmth. I didn't have to worry about the frozen raw nipples racing, and it was just wicked cozy. So actually, I hear you. I think it functionally works.
Well, when your option is jean shorts, and you gotta go another route.
There was one in this week's rundown, which I'll film right after this. There was Sergey, the Pennsylvania individual known for his signature jorts. He's got them modified just right, where he's got cutouts right over his quad, so you don't get the rub.
No, so they're jeans.
They're literal,
Legit jeans.
Yeah. They're not like the which we sell in my store here, the jorts, like running shorts. They're legit jeans that that's his thing. Yeah.
So to clear the air here, I mean, I have ran many races in jeans as like a cowboy, but they were
nice.
yes, but I mean, with the hat, the buckle, the whole deal. But they're half marathons. We're not talking ultras here, you know.
Yeah. That's
Totally
a whole nother just bad idea.
bad idea. Yeah. So.
All right.
Bad idea.
So tell me about the route of the Bacon Trail. What's Bacon Trail all about?
Bacon Trail. Okay, that's a great question. So not to, I mean, like I said, I don't mind. We'll spend as much time as you want promoting our races on the Eastern Shore. That's fine with me. I think it's great. But the Bacon Run is ran on the Bacon Trail, which is in Naylor Mill. And this is the reason why it's called the Bacon Trail. I don't know if you can see how squiggly it is.
Yeah.
See the squiggles?
Yep.
Yeah, it's horrible. People hate it because it's just turning, up, down, turn, up, sideways, left, right, turn. There's no straights. It's nonstop. And so we came up with a run. It was a 10K run. I have to look at the medal. 7K. There you go. 7K. See, that's a
nice
piece of
band.
Scrapple and a
is
piece
is that legit iron right there?
Yeah, it's a little mini skillet there.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So it's the Naylor Mill Bacon Run, but it is the Bacon versus Scrapple. I don't know if you can see that right.
I remember announcing that in the rundowns last year, and I wasn't sure what that. Yeah, tell me what's that all about.
Yeah, it's a breakfast meat showdown, is what it is, with some running involved. So we started with it's called the Bacon Trail. So Trent, first year made it a Bacon Run, 7K trail run. The trail is great, a lot of fun to run. I love it. A lot of people hate it, but so we just threw this bacon in as like the main theme. So his wife Denise, who's amazing, cooked, I want to say, 40 pounds of bacon the first year, and it all of it. And it was not only consumed at the beginning of the race, it was consumed at the halfway point. We had all of our kids out there holding bacon up, and people were running, grabbing bacon, and at the end of the race. So it became a local favorite, the Bacon Run, and it's done in August, so it's hot, and it's muggy, and you're eating bacon, and it's great. And it's a Friday afternoon, you're done with work. So the next year, it wasn't just the Bacon Run. We've got a lot of Scrapple lovers on the Eastern Shore. Scrapple, I know, came from Amish country, but the Eastern Shore is, adopted Scrapple. The Rappa Scrapple plant is here in Bridgeville, Maryland. We have an Apple Scrapple Festival. So anyway, Trent cleverly turned this into a friendly competitive event where you have Team Bacon and Team Scrapple. So when you sign up, you have to pick a team, and then your bib and your shirt has the team that you're on. So if it's Scrapple, you've got a piece of Scrapple running, and if it's Bacon, you got Bacon. And the top 10 finishers for each team, you add their places up, and whoever has the least number of points, that's the team that wins the event from a team perspective. There is a Team Veggie. However, Team Veggie is not allowed to actually win. So if you had a plethora of vegetarians running, if their team managed to somehow peek out a win, they would automatically be disqualified as a team. So,
and so is there anything in the history of your area having to do with bacon? I mean, there's nothing like
no, it's just, bacon's the best. I mean, bacon's great. So Scrapple is bacon's natural enemy. They're on opposite sides. You have very polarizing groups. So it's not to say you can't like both, but everybody's got a favorite. Now we've got a lot of New Jersey people that are coming down to run our races, and so pork roll may at some point come into the equation. So then that would be the ultimate breakfast meat showdown: is pork roll, Scrapple, and bacon. So
I think you're on to something there. You're creating that could work.
Look at you're thinking. What would be your favorite if you had to choose between pork roll?
Man, I grew up outside of Lancaster, and
see, you're bacon all the way.
I'm bacon all the way. Even though I grew up pretty close to the Lancaster line. Grew up in a neighborhood, but surrounded by Amish farms, and I don't know if I ever to this day have tried Scrapple.
That's sad.
It looks awful. I mean, it looks terrible.
It does look terrible. There's really not a whole lot you can say about that when it comes to that. The preparation is key, though. You have to cut it very thin, and it has to be crispy. Most people that like bacon, they like it thin, they like it crispy. But hey, I get it. I understand. It's not for everybody. So there's ultra running. I don't know what to tell you.
So that's in August. All right.
It's a long way to drive for a 7K race.
It's a long way to drive for a 7K race. That is a really long way. But if I remember right, you did masks that had like bacon on them last year or something like that. Am I remembering?
Yeah, Trent had bacon face masks for COVID. Yeah.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, the point of our running club is not to make money. It's to spend it on swag and have a good time. So yeah, I think he came up with that idea. He called me one day. He's like, I got these bacon masks coming. They're great. And I'm just like, oh my God. So yeah, that's right. Scrapple's disgusting. There you go. Trent hates Scrapple.
All right, yeah. I'm there with him. Well, if this weekend of the Pemi and Virgil work, and there's a crew that comes up for Virgil, and if we could always use more hands on deck to volunteer. And let's just say Trent puts on an aid station at Virgil, you could just have bacon and Scrapple just cooking nonstop during the Virgil Crest Ultras. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what? That might be a fun road trip. I'm going to tell you, at Algonquin aid stations, bacon and Scrapple are present. And we actually have a local Dunkin' Donuts hookup for all of our races, Tomas Bergman. And Tomas brought some Scrapple donuts.
Scrapple donuts?
One year.
I haven't heard such thing.
Donuts with Scrapple bits on top. I mean, bacon donuts, I get it. They got a lot of weird looks. But hey, it's different strokes for different folks.
Trent, did you try one of those donuts? Way in here, because you said Scrapple's disgusting, but I'm wondering whether you maybe tried one of those donuts. Follow up.
He's all about donuts, but I don't think I don't think he took a Scrapple donut.
Sounds awful, but
sweet and salty.
All right. Let's see. So, in your opinion, most scenic race in Maryland?
Ooh. I will. Yeah, of course. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say, I've not done a lot of races in Maryland, but one race that I have done that it was my first, and I love the guys, the White Oak running group, Mario and all those guys. But the Pabst 50K is a great race. Is it most scenic? Yeah, probably not. But I mean, I used to mountain bike there all the time when I was in high school. I love that place, and so those guys do a great job. And that's a pretty spot. So
that was a pretty awesome resource. I wasn't expecting it to be that close to Baltimore and just have that many trails in there. And when you get in, kind of whatever it was, 15, 20 miles, 17 miles into the race, where you get kind of in that remote area down by the creek, and kind of it feels.
So you've ran it before?
Yeah, I think it's the same race. Yeah, ran it. I can't remember if they pushed back, but it was this past October, I think it was.
Yeah, they had a reschedule for COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did. I think I was signed up for maybe some other similar race, and it was supposed to be a weekend, maybe a Popsco Trail Fest. Does that sound right?
They had that. Yeah.
All right, and I think that got canceled, but I ended up doing the Popsco 50K, and it was cool. I thought it was really beautiful trails, and it felt pretty remote, kind of mid-course for where it was. Yeah,
there's also a race that they're running this year that some friends of mine were talking about down in southern Maryland, in the Calvert Cliffs area. I've not run the race before, but I've ran there a lot, and it's a really pretty spot. You have these really like 100+ foot tall cliffs that overlook the Chesapeake Bay, and so you get to run down through all those ravines and stuff like that, and those washouts and gullies, and that's a really pretty area too. But yeah, no, there's for sure. There's a lot of great spots. I mean, I used to mountain bike at Greenbrier a lot in Gambrel, and I know Greenbrier has a race. So yeah.
And what was the one that you said that they're planning? Does that have a name yet, or did you just say what a name was?
Some people were just talking about it the other day. It's down in Calvert Cliffs in southern Maryland. I think it's a looped race. It might even be a relay. I'd have to take a look at ultrasonic and try and find it.
Yeah.
But I was when I was at Belmonte this weekend, I was talking to some folks about it, and I knew exactly where the race was held, and I've run there a bunch because we travel a lot for work. I have to go where the houses are. So we do a
Hmm.
lot of elevations and house relocations on the western shore of Maryland. So Calvert Cliffs, there's a lot of erosion. And so we pick houses up and move them back a little bit when they get too close to the cliff. And so I ran there a bunch, and it's really pretty.
Uh-huh. Yeah, man, I'm thinking your long-term job security, right, with the number of houses and the erosion
And
and
flood
weather.
elevation too. When a storm comes in and you get a massive storm surge, these houses that have flood insurance, they're based off of a 100-year, flooding event. But when that 100-year event gets reset and the bar gets elevated, now all of a sudden your flood insurance rates, you're no longer compliant and they go up. And so the only way to get out of that or to have your house become compliant is to elevate it. And um, so yeah, probably 50 to 60% of our work is just lifting houses.
Uh-huh.
So
And so, and Trent just weighing in, that one, I have announced that one a couple times.
there
Maybe
you
it got
go.
closed
Look,
out.
Trent.
Is that so? Yeah, okay. And that's a timed event, right? Maybe you already said that, but
Maybe I think so. But
it's like
it's
a
a
2 or a
really
6 hour.
cool place. It's a really
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's really neat there. It's pretty.
I think it was like Miocene Epic or something like that. And if I remember right, it just capped out. I think so.
Oh, you mean like
Um,
they're not taking any more runners?
yeah,
It's
if I
over.
remember right, announcing it on the, I think I announced it the past few weeks on the rundown, and I think it may have just capped, but I'll look back into it. All right, and so Scenic, how about the um, your opinion, toughest trail event in Maryland?
Toughest trail event in Maryland. Oh well, in Maryland, there again. I have.
I know, put you on the spot, and your head gets
Yeah,
mushy
I'm
when.
gonna say. Honestly. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say the duck, and the reason I say that obviously is not because I'm partial, but um, I'm pretty familiar with, like I said, all my friends that we have in our community have run just about every race in Maryland, and so of course you always hear recaps of this or that race or whatnot. And there's not too many hundreds in Maryland. You've got the one um, you got the one at Greenbrier, but I don't think that's particularly out there from a challenging standpoint. We got a bunch of 50Ks, a few 50 milers. Um, but there's not many that cumulatively I think present as much of a challenge as the Duck does, even though it's on the Eastern Shore versus some of those other places. So I'm gonna have to go with that as
Mhm.
unbiased as possible. That's my answer.
That's good. I'm getting close. I just started into. I'm actually getting pretty close. I've been doing a deep dive on trail events in the Northeast, and over the past probably 3 weeks, I think I've mapped. I think it was like 189 different races, and
In the
uh,
Northeast, not even the
North,
mid. Wow.
yeah, Northeast, and this is all with one of the pieces is the toughest races in the Northeast, and ended up breaking them down by division, but I took, and some of them they had posted, others I looked into results and I messaged people and they sent me the GPX track files. Others if the event was kind of cryptic, but they had like this map, even if it was a pretty poor map, and I freehanded into mapping software, and I ended up um, sending all of the course files through 3 different mapping softwares and took the average. And then I looked, well, you'll see in the articles coming up, it was kind of a deep dive, but in any
That
case,
sounds like more than a deep dive. That sounds like some crazy long
yeah,
fingernailed like
it's
sort of obsession. That's insane. Wow, you really took it to another level there.
yeah, and I don't know, hopefully it'll be fun for people to check out. But I do have
Yeah.
Duck on that 100K list, and I can't remember if I might have a couple Maryland ones on there, but I've had a relative threshold of what I was looking at elevation gain and technicality. But Duck I put on there not because of the elevation gain or the technicality, but because what it is, you're running it in winter, you get potentially sucky weather, and you get the whole night angle, and then going into the other one. So it seemed like a tough combination.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the nod. I'm a realist. I think everybody will tell you that I don't really hold a whole lot back. I there's some races like Manitou's Revenge or
Oh
Manitou's.
yeah, sure. Yeah, you were on
I
top of
mean,
the list, but it's
yeah, I haven't done it. I would love to. It's on my list. I'm going to do it here so shortly. We don't even have the ability to even come close to that. But like I said before, there's other factors that go into a race.
Mhm.
And so yeah, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, cool. All right, yeah. So I should have that live the next couple weeks. I'm gonna also do some
That's
on
cool.
Scenic, kind of the biggest party scenes, and have other links as well. All right, so we're hour 5. I know people are probably like, dude, you need to wrap it up. All right? So last question, in your opinion, if I were going to, or anybody, we're going to make the drive from outside of Maryland and hit one area of Maryland, which may be your happy place, or it's just a beautiful place to run. What is not to be missed for trail running in Maryland? And this could just be, it doesn't have to be an event. This can just be a place that you love, that you think is
Sure.
beautiful to go run.
Well, and I guess it depends on the distance too. If you're trying to shoot for an ultra distance or you just want to go someplace beautiful and experience an amazing run, I'll throw two out there. I don't think there's many places that can beat running in the fall or on a not too crazy brisk day in the winter on Assateague and watch the sunrise. That place is magical. It really is. You've got the wild horses running around, and you go out there on a day where you can look in both directions, north and south, and not see a soul. We have a lot of really good times out there. It's not the same experience in the winter. In the summer, it's hot. It's like
Mm-hmm.
crazy humid. You want to be in the water instead of out on the beach running. But when it's nice out and the temperature's right, you can't beat that. Whether it's a 2 mile run, a walk, or a 15 or 20 mile throw down. But as far as ultra distance and stuff that I've done, and not only from the scenic standpoint, but also just from like having that adventure. Races are great, but sometimes those adventure runs or those
Mm-hmm.
runs that you do just with you and a friend or some whatever are I think are can be even more fun or different from satisfaction standpoint. Running the Appalachian Trail top to bottom in Maryland is something that I really like doing. I like starting up top and then going south and ending in Harper's Ferry. You cross the bridge there, in the afternoon. I enjoy doing it at night. So, me and a couple of friends, we start at like 8 p.m., and then you end in the morning, and you get to go home and still spend time with your family in the afternoon. But that's an awesome route and tons of fun. So
And what's the distance of that? How far does it run in?
42, 42
42.
miles. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's good.
So,
That's good training ground as well. And it's
oh yeah.
fun running places at night for that experience. It really changes it.
I love running at night. I enjoy it. Some people don't, but for me, that I love running at night. So
Are you getting the lights of any kind of cities, towns in the distance, or is it fairly kind of remote?
you do at certain spots, especially where the original Washington Monument is. So the
Uh-huh.
original Washington Monument before the one that's in actual D.C. is up there, and it overlooks. It's a ridge there where it overlooks some towns, and it's really pretty. But the main reason I like running at night is because you get the whole day to do something too. So
Yeah.
it's like free money. You get all that
You
extra
need
time.
you and your dad need to show up to the mall there in DC and be like, no, we're taking this monument and we're going to lift it and we're moving it back to the original location. We're actually going to do that right now. That would be
I don't know how tall it is, but we moved the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, and that's 200 feet tall and weighed 4,000 tons. So
I
they
think you're
might
capable.
be pretty damn comparable. I'm not sure. I got to look up the specs on that thing, but
Uh-huh. Cool. All right. Well, Gabe, thanks so much for taking some time tonight. Thanks for digging in. Thanks for repping the Delmarva scene.
sure.
And it would be great to connect further about maybe some opportunities that we touched on.
Absolutely. I'd love to get up your neck of the woods. Thanks for the chance to be on here, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, cool. Sounds good. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And we will catch you next round. I don't even remember who next round is, but stay tuned and we will catch you next round. All right. See ya.